Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. What an episode. But before I get into my review, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I summarize and review the latest by Yanlış and Sanchal couple episodes. Say what I liked, what I didn't like, what I noticed, predict what might happen next. If you like these kinds of videos, subscribe to my channel and we will meet on a weekly basis. By Yanlış gets better and better and better. Like, this episode was so amazing. Before I get into the Özgür storyline, let's talk a little bit about Cansu and Levent. So Levent has this problem of his daughter knowing that he was in Göçke, or whatever the name of this town was. So now he has to kind of make it up to his daughter, but at the same time trying to tell her about Cansu. So he meets up with his daughter, but he tells her, well, it wasn't me, I wasn't there, how could I lie to you, because I never lied to you. So he didn't really solve this problem, and Cansu was really hoping that now is the moment that he really tells his daughter about their relationship. So she makes him dinner or lunch, or I think it was dinner, and then he tells her that he couldn't really tell his daughter about their relationship, and it's done for Cansu. Cansu is so angry, she's like, you know what, I'm done, I don't care anymore, and just go. So gives him the cold shoulder, and I'm like, yes girl. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen my reactions because I was live tweeting. So I was like, yes girl, give him the cold shoulder to know what he's actually losing, because you're always there, you're always forgiving him. Whenever he needs something, you're there. So give him the cold shoulder, just show him what he has to lose so he appreciates you. So Ezgi also gives Cansu the advice just to let Levent go, just to focus on herself, do what's best for her, and he will come back. It's that simple. And Cansu is really amazed by the fact how wise Ezgi has become in the relationship department because of Özgür, and even Cansu says that Özgür has done a really good job on her, changing her in that way. So Cansu is focusing on herself and taking swimming lessons, and it was hilarious. I don't know if I've mentioned it last episode, that moment where Levent pushed Cansu into the ocean, into the water, whatever, and it was so hilarious because she was drowning and then he jumped off that whatever they were sitting on, and he was like, what are you doing? It's merely a meter or something like that, and she was drowning there. It was hilarious. And now her taking swimming lessons, it was the best. I love Cansu. So now Levent is really confused. What is Cansu doing? She's not with her friends, she has other plans, it's not with him. What is she doing? And he doesn't really like that. And when you pay close attention, when he's at home and puts one foot over the other, you can really see the price sticker on the sole of his shoes. And another thing, when Ezgi and Özgür are washing the plates and putting them into the dishwasher, you can also see the price stickers on the plates. I was like, anyways, that's just something that I've noticed. Ozan is really smitten with Deniz, but he botched the drive back. So Deniz rejected Ozan, and he actually ordered flowers to be delivered to her, kind of as an apology. Özgür gives him advice, and then Ozan calls the florist and says, I want to cancel the order. But it was so hilarious because Ozan was so in his bubble, so focused and just wafting or whatever, doing with his knife. Even Özgür was really scared to get close to him. But I really like this Özgür being kind of the person who gives relationship advice to everybody. But anyways, Cansu and Deniz visit Ezgi on her first day of work, and Emre goes to Ozan and tells him kind of subtly that Deniz is outside. So he goes there, says hello, goes to Özgür. Özgür says stay here, but then go back to the kitchen. And Deniz didn't like it. You could really see that she didn't like it, that he didn't come and talk to her like he did in the past, always pursuing her, always wanting to be near her, always talking to her. So that's what's kind of nagging her at the moment. And she also complimented his food, so she really liked it. And when they wanted to go, so Cansu and Deniz, Cansu was like, oh, we should go say goodbye to Ozan and Özgür because they're just standing there. Özgür told Ozan, just don't say anything, she's not looking at you, but she will come. What happens? Deniz comes. And then there was also the scene where Deniz was looking up Ozan and accidentally liked his Instagram picture, and he saw it and he was over the moon. Then she unliked it, and then when he wanted to see which picture she liked, the like was gone, and he was really confused but at the same time kind of flattered. It was just hilarious, and I'm so excited to see what's going to happen next and how their relationship will evolve. And also when Dennis's law firm has a meeting, not a meeting but a business dinner at Özgür's restaurant, because they got this big client and Dennis actually knows the most about this client, and she thought that she would be the head lawyer kind of in that case. But the big boss, I'm just calling him big boss because I think his name is Arju something, but the big boss gives the case to Irem. Of course Irem is really excited and is like in your face, so Dennis is really frustrated. On top of that, it's really frustrating that she has to go to Özgür's restaurant where she sees Ozan. Ozan comes to the table, introduces himself, brings out food, but then when Dennis wants to say something, Irem talks, other people talk, so she doesn't get to say anything to Ozan, and Ozan kind of just blurs her out and doesn't talk to her that much. So he kind of flirts with Irem, and it was so hilarious because Özgür was ringing the bell like really angrily. What are you doing? Come back. It was so hilarious. Then we also have Gizem and Emre. So Gizem is still very much on Soner's side and wants to get Ezgi out of here. But now that she's kind of, I think, international relations, international department, something doing there. And Gizem doesn't really like that because she wants to have Özgür to herself. But when Ezgi actually comes to work with Özgür, Emre is really nice to Ezgi. So he's kind of impressed by Ezgi, how nice she is, and more he's trying to protect Ezgi because Gizem tried to ask Ezgi if she has a boyfriend, but Emre interrupted and stuff like that. And it was so hilarious because when Gizem had to show Ezgi around, Emre gave her a cocktail, and I think it was called Don't Trust the Baby Face or something like that, referring to Gizem. It was hilarious. I mean, Emre is just amazing. And then when the big boss was there for dinner, Emre was lost in space. He was losing it because it turns out that the big boss is actually his girlfriend's father, and the big boss doesn't actually know that Emre is his daughter's boyfriend, so they don't know each other. But Emre kept looking at the big boss, and big boss was very confused. Why is this guy looking at me and being so clumsy? Özgür even asked, why are you that lost? And Emre tells him that he was in a rush this morning and put his girlfriend's perfume on, and because her father knows the smell and is a lawyer, he can figure it out that he's the boyfriend of his daughter. It was just hilarious. Now we can move on to the main storyline, Ezgi and Özgür. So the episode starts with Ezgi and Özgür coming back and being kind of awkward around each other because they know, okay, the game is over, but they're kind of lingering, and then Özgür trying to make up reasons why he should be near her or helping her, and then he proposes to take her in the morning so that they can go to work together. So the next morning they meet at the elevator, they go in, and I was like, oh my god, how tiny is that elevator, because Özgür was that close at all times. I was like, okay, I don't mind a person like Özgür to be that close to me, but come on, I need my personal space. He smelled her hair, then asked her if she changed something. She said no, it's just maybe the shampoo, and he said don't use it again, and she didn't understand why. And I think because he can't control himself next to her smelling that way, so he's trying to distance himself from her and kind of making her not really unattractive, but trying everything not to get attracted to her, if that makes sense. Anyways, Haydar enters and he stinks because he had to unclog a toilet, and their reactions, like Ezgi was really diplomatic, really nice to him, not really showing it on her face that he stank. Özgür, on the other hand, he kept smelling Ezgi's hair. When Gizem was showing Ezgi around, Özgür was with Ozan talking about the drive back. Ezgi comes with Gizem. Özgür couldn't take his eyes off her, and even Ozan was looking at him and being like, you really like her? And Özgür was like, me? No, this is just business. It's nothing personal. I'm not in love with her. This is pure business because it's her first day, so I have to see if she likes it, if she can integrate herself into the team, blah blah blah, just finding excuses. Then when Cansu and Deniz were there to have lunch with Ezgi on her first day, who comes? Yeşim. I mean, nobody needs you. Seriously, woman. Just get the message, he doesn't like you. Anyways, she goes there, she wants to talk to Özgür. They sit down like in Ezgi's, what do you call it? She's directly looking at them. She sees Yeşim like being very touchy-feely. But from Özgür's side, you can really see that he's like friendly to her, respecting her, but nothing more. And then she says, well, I want to make it up to you about that article. Let's do a new article, blah blah blah. Serdar actually messaged Ezgi when she was in the kitchen, but she ignored it. Now that she sees Yeşim with Özgür, Serdar calls and she accepts his dinner invitation. Then we see Fitnat visiting Sevim, talking about Özgür, and Fitnat saying that there is this girl she wants to set Özgür up with because now that he's broken up with Ezgi. But Sevim says no, they're not broken up, let's call him, blah blah blah. So they call him, trying to get the information if he's broken up with Ezgi, but he kind of sees through their game and he says that he's not interested in dating anyone else. Sevim and Fitnat are just, no, my boy, what? Why? Also, Nevim is calling Ezgi, but Ezgi didn't tell them that she's actually working at Özgür's place and she doesn't know what to say to her mother now. Did they break up? Are they still together? So she goes to Özgür's office, but she also wants to know what he talked about with Yeşim. So she finds a reason to go there and says, I didn't want to bother you about the party, blah blah blah. And he understood what she was trying to get to, so he said, well, if you're interested, it was nothing personal, she just apologized, blah blah blah, about the article, but nothing more. And you can really see that she's a little more relaxed, but then asks about her mother, what should she say? Özgür says, I will try and see how my mother reacts to this whole situation, and maybe we have to play a little bit longer. So then Ezgi goes and gets ready for her dinner date with Serdar, but Serdar calls her and says, well, he has a patient and he might be late. So Ezgi is waiting on the terrace. Özgür comes, sees her, she's asking him, well, how do I look? And he says, all right. She says, what do you mean all right? And he says, well, it's enough for Serdar to be impressed. And then this whole game starts where I was like, She gets close to him, saying, what do you mean by people like Serdar will be impressed? Aren't you impressed by me? Blah blah blah. And he says, no, I'm hard to impress because of my experience, because I had the best women around, blah blah blah. And then she gets close and it was amazing. And he had such a hard time to control himself. I mean, Ezgi, yes girl. It was amazing. I loved that scene so much. But then she pulls away, and then Özgür is kind of trying to teach her a lesson that she shouldn't be that naive, not to give herself that quickly to a person, because she's way too relaxed, and when she's relaxed she just opens herself up. I really liked his explanation and it made sense, and I was like, Özgür, sign me up, I'll give you all my money, teach me your lessons. I mean, what he's saying is 10 out of 10, I mean 100 out of 10. And Aslı, if you're watching this, please write a manual, do something. I want to have that in my hand, a book, I don't know, or keep writing this series because it's amazing. It can help so many people. Özgür is the life coach, dating coach of so many people, I think. But anyways, while he was talking, you could really see that he was opening up to her and kind of getting vulnerable, and Ezgi saw that and was questioning him kind of, and then you could really see him closing up, being sarcastic, kind of pushing her away. Then we have Serdar calling that there's an emergency, he has to cancel. Özgür, as soon as Ezgi picks up and says hello Serdar, he goes away, but he's still listening. So he heard that Serdar cancelled the dinner plans. He comes out with a tray of food. They have an amazing time outside on their terrace, go inside, do the dishes, and they're close to each other again. No personal space. Like, Özgür doesn't even know the word personal space, I think. But anyways, they do the dishes, and Özgür's eyes were like undressing her, eating her. I mean, his looks were so intense. That episode was amazing. So then we have this amazing scene where Ezgi and Özgür are out on the terrace. Ezgi is looking at the moon, saying it's so beautiful. He comes to her, he says, yeah, it's so beautiful, but I'm not talking about the moon, I'm talking about you. Why are you not looking at me? And I was like, hold up, since when is he that vocal? Since when does Özgür Atasoy confront Ezgi? Something is not right. And then I was like, okay, this has to be a dream. And the kiss happens, and I'm like, oh my god, it's amazing, but I know it's a dream. And then suddenly I hear Serdar. I'm like, what is happening? What? So then Özgür is really confused, and we found out that it's Özgür's dream, and that dream kind of set him a couple of steps back, because then he was talking to this big, I think James Dean, this huge poster. Ezgi was so happy because of last night. She knows that they will go to work together, but this morning he was like, going to work together? Oh, yeah, okay, bye, see you there. So he was really pushing her away. Even she was so confused what was happening with him, because last night he was one Özgür and now he's a different one. But it was kind of his coping mechanism, his protective shield kind of. And that's when the change happened. So we see Özgür in that amazing blue shirt. It fit him so well. I loved it. So we have Özgür telling Ezgi that she should keep the story going because of his mother, because she wants to set him up again and he doesn't want that. She shows him the pictures of the party she did for Latin American whatever, but he keeps sniffing her hair. It was just amazing. And then she tells him that she can stay a little bit longer, but he knows about the date. So he's like, no, you can go early. And she tries to find an excuse to stay longer because she doesn't really want to go on that date with Serdar, but Özgür keeps pushing her away, and she tries and tries even when Ozan is also there, and Ozan notices it. Özgür is kind of in a funk. He's not really feeling himself. Even Emre sees it, because there is a certain time when Özgür has a coffee. Now he wanted to drink something else, and even Emre was like, what is happening? What's wrong with you? And Ozan comes and tells Özgür that Ezgi didn't really want to go to that date because there is nothing between them, and she doesn't really like Serdar, so it won't work between her and Serdar. And that's kind of what lifts Özgür's mood, and then tells Emre to give him some coffee, and Emre is like, oh my god, you're back, of course, have some coffee. It was amazing. But then the big boss comes and has dinner, what I already talked about. Özgür is like, okay, she's with Serdar. Oh no, before that, Cansu talks with Ezgi, and Ezgi is trying to find a reason why she shouldn't go. She says she's sick and blah blah blah, and Cansu says, no, you should go, get ready, just imagine your wedding with him, blah blah blah. And then she imagines a wedding, her in a wedding dress, and who's standing there? Özgür. And that's kind of those dreams both of them had. It's just what their souls really want. What I forgot to say is that Nevim actually talked to Ezgi, and Ezgi said that she has a dinner date with Özgür, and Nevim is like, no, I can't let this happen. So they come. But before we know that they come, Ezgi gets ready, Serdar comes, Haydar is really confused who that person is. He asks, who do you want to see? And he says Ezgi. Oh, Ezgi, well, I have to ask her if she's expecting anyone. It was amazing. And then Serdar is like, well, I'm her boyfriend. And he's like really shocked. And then we see Ezgi and the doorbell rings. I'm like, okay, well, Serdar is here. But who is at the door? Her parents. I was like, oh my god. Plot twist. So now she has to cancel the plans with Serdar. Serdar drives away. Ezgi has to go to dinner with her parents because Ünal is like, well, you're dressed so nicely, let's go. Özgür still knows that she's actually out with Serdar, so he tries to find a reason to call her. In the meantime, Nevim is trying to convince Ezgi to break up with Özgür. Ünal actually tells her that you could really see that Özgür was in love with her. She asks, how did you see it? Through his looks, like the way he looked at you. And that's when she's like, oh my god, he loves me, he really likes me, oh my god. She's so happy in that moment. Nevim still tries to convince her to break up with him because of the way he treated her. In the meantime, Yeşim comes. Once again, I'm like, woman, get a grip. Because actually before Serdar went to pick up Ezgi, she wanted to go have dinner with her brother. Serdar tells her that he has a date with Ezgi. She's not really amused by that. But then he says that Özgür actually loves Yeşim. And she's over the moon. She's so happy and that's why she comes. But before she gets to the table, she actually knows İrem. So two snakes, whatever you want to call them, the two bad people, they know each other. So that's not a good sign. Anyways, Deniz keeps an eye on Özgür, sees that he's with Yeşim once again. But when you actually listen to his conversations and look at him, the way he behaves, his body language, you can really see that he sees her as a friend, somebody he knows, and nothing more. He's not really interested in her. Tesla actually has to get home, so Özgür has to go home. And Yeşim is like, well, let's continue it at your place. Of course, Özgür, the nice guy he is, says, okay, let's go. Tesla comes. Yeşim hates Tesla, the way Tesla smells and that she's full of Tesla's hair. She doesn't like it at all. In the meantime, Ezgi got home. She saw that Özgür is not home yet, but she wanted to talk to him because she's so happy because of what Ünal told her. The second time she goes out, she actually sees Yeşim. Özgür comes out as well, and I'm like, oh my god, please don't do anything stupid. But what happens, that Biage goes up to Özgür, says like, are you still mad at me for that article? But he's actually in a funk because he knows that Ezgi is with her brother, like with Serdar, and not with him. So that's why he's not feeling that way. Yeşim, she keeps getting closer and closer, and then she says, haven't you forgiven me? And he's like, well, there's nothing to forgive, so and she's like, well then let's celebrate, and goes in for a kiss, and Ezgi sees everything, and I'm like, oh my god, no, you can't leave me hanging like this. And that's the end. But thank god we get a trailer. What I've seen is, I think either Özgür kind of pulls back before he gets to a kiss, because if you look closely they're not really touching. I really do hope so. Either Özgür pulls back before they kiss, or Ezgi goes away before he pulls back, or Yeşim kisses him, Ezgi sees it, goes away, he's shocked, pulls away. I don't know, but I don't like the fact that he kissed Yeşim. So we have the trailer. Finally, the tango scene, because if you follow Can Yaman on Instagram, you would have seen that he took tango lessons and also danced with his mother. So what I've gathered from that trailer is that Ezgi is still pursuing Serdar. So Serdar invites Ezgi to a tango lesson, dance party, I don't know, somewhere where she has to tango. She asks Özgür to help her with that. At first he's refusing, but then we see that they're actually practicing on the terrace. I can't really predict anything more because this series has been so unpredictable for me. So like I said on Twitter, I think Özgür really has to work to gain not Ezgi's trust, but to kind kind of convince Ezgi that he really has feelings for her. But I also want for Ezgi to pursue Serdar, because then we will get more of Özgür's lessons. So I would really like that. Oh, and one thing. So in the beginning I was like, okay, Serdar is the bad guy of the series. But no. So Gizem is a bad woman. İrem for Deniz is a bad one. And also Yeşim. Like the three biashes. What I actually wanted to say is that those three women are actually the villains of the series, not Serdar. Serdar is just blind. He is just naive. He's kind of tangled in this whole story, but he's not a bad guy. What I've seen now. Hopefully he won't change. Yeah, I think I said everything. I hope I mentioned everything. If I forgot anything, let me know in the comments. But yeah, if you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment like I said. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell to be notified whenever I post something, and I will see you next time. Bye!